Okay, we're gonna wait for people to arrive.
And the first ones arrive. Hello everyone.
Bonsoir. Oh, this is Coralie is there.
Coucou Coralie.
Coucou everyone. Can you hear us well? Is the sound okay?
Can you give a thumbs up or thumbs down? If you can hear us.
Hey,
It's a
Noel.
smiley. Hello.
Is the sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome for this live. The live is happening tonight because I did about 10 days ago or 2 weeks something some stories, and I was getting some answers about people wanting to be entrepreneurs and having questions about it and having fears and inner blockages about it. So I made the list of the inner blockages that you've been sharing, and we're going to share how we experience them, because we are both entrepreneurs and we know what you're going through, because this is also happening to us, and we would like to share as entrepreneurs but also as coaches how we experience that.
Yeah, and all the challenges that you wrote, they're not unique. So everyone knows these challenges of stepping into this role. And I think this is a good good way to think about it, that you're not alone with what you feel challenged by.
Yeah, totally not alone. Maybe we can go back to our background. Do you want to start with your story so that people understand how you became an entrepreneur?
Okay, where should I start?
Where you want.
Okay, I will try to make it a bit shorter. I was working in a corporate environment for 8 years. Even before that, I was working in an agency, in a commercial agency, making TV spots, music videos, and then I switched my career to become a so-called user researcher. I will not go so much into that, but I was working there for 8 years in a big fashion company here in Berlin, until I found out that there's something else that I want to live by, and this came up through many different practices that I was using back then. One was breathwork for me, to actually connect to my intuition and see that there's more, and that there's how should I call it, some kind of inner wish in me that wants to be expressed in life. So I had to create a bit of a container to actually see that there's something else that wants to be expressed in my life. And yeah, through breathwork, one of the practices, I actually found out, okay, there's some kind of tension in me that wants to be expressed. So I discovered this more and more, and then I decided to become an entrepreneur, because I just acknowledged that all the things that are really important to me, it was not possible for me to actually do it in a corporate world. It's a flexibility that's quite important to me. Traveling, collecting experiences, adventures, having flexibility, having more security. These are all important values for me, why I then actually decided to make the step out of the corporate world.
Yeah. And it's new. Do you want to say how long you've been an entrepreneur
Oh,
for?
yes. So it's quite new, yes, exactly. So I'm an entrepreneur since 4.5 months, 4 months, almost 4 months now. So it's quite fresh. I was already working in the field that I'm working now before that, so I was trying to work in parallel in my new job. So I had still a corporate job, but I was already doing some of the work that I'm doing now as well. So in these terms, I'm already working in that since 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. You did it step by step.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And we will probably talk about that a bit later, because I think the approach that I took, it's quite safe. which was important for me. And God created more confidence in me and really gave me the time to slowly step up.
Yeah, exactly. He's a pretty serious person, so he's not like getting crazy about ideas and then.
Pretty serious person. Sounds like I'm not joking at all.
No, I mean you're quite structured and organized.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Someone is asking about the theme of the event. So tonight we talk about entrepreneurship, and we're sharing our journey, and we will share about the main fears that we've encountered by being entrepreneurs and that everyone was raising in the stories that I shared. Also, someone asked if we can speak in French. That will not be possible because Christian doesn't speak French. He can do it in German if you want, but I will not be able to understand.
No, we're not able in German. It will also not work.
So, I will continue. So, I've been an entrepreneur for now 9 years, and it happened because I got fired. When I was like 28 or 29, I got fired from a job that I liked. It was really tough for me, and I did a coaching. I received coaching from someone, and then I understood that I wanted to learn naturopathy because it has been helping me with my sleeping problem. And then step by step, I started to be an entrepreneur, but not because I wanted it. It's because I could not find a job, and because I went back to school. So I started to create a life that I could study in, but I could also have jobs, and I was also unemployed. So I was switching between being a student, being unemployed, and having small jobs here and there. And then I started to create my first company. I did an EURL in French, and it's like a company. It's not auto-entrepreneur, it's a company. And I failed. So this company I had for a year and a half, and I was doing some communication and marketing for dating websites because it was my previous jobs, and I had to close this company, and it failed, and it was a big failure for me. I was very down at that time, and then I created another company with some partners, and we created dating websites together. So it was for about a year and a half with those people, and we failed, and it was also another failure, and it was I was very hurt by this failure because can you imagine, I got fired, and then I failed my company, and then I failed the company that I had with others, and I went to some kind of events in Paris called Fuck Up Night, and it's for people who fucked up their companies. And I understood I was not alone in this failure journey, and failing is part of succeeding. And then I did a auto-entreprise in 2014, and then I started step by step to succeed. And having had failures before really was the foundation for me to be more consistent in trying. Like, I could see that failing didn't kill me, and I could continue and persevere. And it took me a few years to succeed, because at first I had still several jobs. This is something that I wanted to share tonight too, is that when you need to pay for your rent, and when you need to pay for your food and everything and your trainings, you have to have jobs, and not only wait for clients, like, I'll just wait for clients to come. No, get some jobs. It put less pressure on having clients. And so I had jobs here and there. I worked in an organic shop for a long time. I was still doing here and there communication missions for people. And then finally it started to take off, and I started to live out of naturopathy and writing books. And I didn't need to have outside clients after a while. It took me about 3 years to build that with my auto-entreprise. And then it's been 2-3 years that I'm really thriving. And last year I took off, and I really I made more than 100,000 a year, and I tripled this number this year, and I hope next year I will double that that number again, so I can say that I made it. And this is great. But I'm in my 9th year of being an entrepreneur. This is a journey. This is an inner journey, inner work and outer work, obviously.
Yeah, and you can see it's quite a contrast. I'm quite new. I'm like in still my baby shoes, running around trying to manage my business. And I have Ankia next to me who already is so experienced in it, which obviously is of course really helpful for me. But you mentioned the thing around having a job which is covering your costs. So the good thing about my position was that I got not fired, so I had time to save some money for that. And I also still at the moment have one freelance job that I'm doing that's also bringing in some money. Freelance job which is basically similar to what I did in the corporate company, but it's not covering the whole time that I'm working. It's just, I think in total 15 days that I'm working for them. But this also gives me a bit of security, knowing, okay, I can always take on a freelance job in order to pursue my dreams.
Yeah, we can always do that. One of the main fear is the fear of lack of money. This is the main one. Do you want to start with it?
Yes. So lack of money. So what I always advised all my clients is to create a list of all the fixed costs that you have, and that's where we come to the part that I'm really structured and a really serious person, as Antje said.
Excel sheets.
So this is for me really important, to have a clear overview of what kind of money do you actually have to cover, how much is it, and where can you actually reduce your outcomes or the money that you have to, the expenses exactly. Because this would create way more calm in your mind than not knowing exactly how much you actually have to come up with. And I was running around a couple of months with not knowing how much I actually need until I decided to actually create this overview. And it gave me actually a lot of satisfaction, because then I suddenly saw, it's actually possible if I do it this in this way, and it gave me confidence to actually step into this role.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Being clear about your needs, what you actually need every month for your survival, for your safety, your basic safety, your rent, the cost of eating, the insurances, the internet, like all of the fixed costs that you have brings a lot of security, because quite often we see that we don't need so much the upcoming months, and you don't need to project yourself right away for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. For this part of clarity regarding your finances, you need to focus on here and now.
Yes. Yeah.
Being realistic.
Yeah. And one other thing that got really clear to me, that in Europe, in Germany and in France, we're actually in a quite good position, because we can still get money from the state when we don't have any job, which is not the case, for example, for the States. If you don't have a job, you are not insured, and the money that you get from the state is really limited. I don't know how much it is, but it's really limited. Yeah. And they really have to figure out, okay, how can I survive the next year? And here in Germany and France, it's probably that you are covered for at least 1 year, for at least a covered.
In France, it's 2 years. In Germany, it's less long. Yeah, totally. What next? Where do you want to go? We have a whole
trusting
list.
yourself. I think trusting yourself is also quite an important one. So where should I start? So trusting yourself. Someone more trusting yourself, right? That's how I read it, right? Yeah.
Well, the question we asked in the box of questions, it was what are your inner blockages towards going to be an entrepreneur, building your entrepreneurship life?
Okay, yeah, trusting yourself. So I assume that this person who wrote it probably has some doubts about if she's ready to do the step, if she's capable to do the step, and so on. So there's some limitations, maybe also some limited beliefs. But it's important to see them not as facts. These limited beliefs that you have do not see them as facts. See them as something that you should question and that you can also work on to eliminate these beliefs or to reprogram these beliefs. And know that something in you brought you here to raise this comment, and this is something which is really true to yourself and which you can actually trust. So always come back to this point that you can trust in. This is your essence, this is the core of yourself who actually has this dream to move on. And this is a place where you can put in a lot of trust. Don't believe what you believe.
That's a good one. Don't believe what you believe. Yeah, especially it depends where you come from, but neither of us, we come from entrepreneur parents or families, and if you never had someone to look upon when you were a kid who was an entrepreneur and that you could admire their perseverance and their ability to create their own jobs, then you start from nowhere, nothing. Yeah. So all of the beliefs you have are created by the fears of others, like, oh, it's difficult to be an entrepreneur, or you have to work very hard and there is no security. And the beliefs that we have are just damaging our the consciousness that we have regarding our own ability inside, because we are immensely capable of creating anything, but until we do it, we don't know that we can do it. So to the person that wrote trusting herself that as a limiting belief, as a limitation, I would say, yeah, work on your beliefs, as you said, and also just start to realize that there is a whole world outside of people who have succeeded and who didn't necessarily have the background of entrepreneurship, and they could do it by themselves, just by researching, by building their inner strength, inner ability. And if we did it, you can do it.
Yeah, and one simple exercise that you can do, and busting beliefs, it's not simple, but one simple exercise to actually reprogram your mind is to find evidence for the beliefs that you want to have. For example, if you believe entrepreneurship is not safe, look for people who created a lot of safety through entrepreneurship. For example, yeah, exactly. Find something that is giving you evidence that a different way is true, because there's always a confirmation bias, and this means that you will see the things that you believe in, and you should be aware of that, and then instead try to find the things that is supporting the new beliefs that you want to hold up high.
Yeah, I like that too. Exactly. Yeah. Then next one, let's say, should we go through the one highlighted first?
Yeah.
Okay. Choosing something between so many ideas. Oh my God. Yeah. What to choose, where to start when we are like boiling with ideas and we have so many things we want to do, but not so many hours during the day. Any tips?
First of all, write down your ideas. Get a bit more clarity what kind of ideas are out there for you, and then there are different approaches that you can take. One approach is to listen to your intuition, see what your innate pull towards is. This is a really important one, and also a really good one, but for this you have to create a space, because oftentimes we are so overwhelmed by the choices that we can't go into the state where we can actually start listening to our intuition. So you have to create a space for that. This means you have to maybe retreat yourself from all the possibilities. You maybe have to go into a different place. You have to get out of the ordinary world, basically. Go into the forest and spend there for a couple of hours, or do breathwork, or do travel. This can be all good experiences to actually see what is truly important to you. This is one way which works with intuition.
Take mushrooms?
Could also be an option. Yeah. The other option, which is a bit more rational, a bit more structured, is to list down all the ideas and then have on the different columns, you can put, for example, what's the most meaningful idea? What's the most challenging idea? What is the idea that I'm bored by the most? what is the most inspiring idea, what is the idea that has the biggest impact in the world and on you, and then you can make crosses, which idea fits, and the one that has most crosses is maybe an idea that is more relevant to you. Or you maybe will find out that some ideas, they don't have any cross at all, so you can actually already remove it from the list, because this will not really serve you if it doesn't have any point.
Yeah, exactly. You have to find, as you said, the right environment for you to listen to the inner wisdom, because inside of you, you already have the answer of where to start and what to choose. But sometimes we just need to quiet the mind and to be in a good surrounding, in this peacefulness inside, so that we know what's the next step. And I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, although there might be a divine timing for some projects or programs or services that you might want to launch, but there is no mistake. I mean, you can go right or you can go wrong on the road, but anyway, it will lead you to where you need to be.
Exactly.
There is no wrong choices. Even though I consider I failed companies, it's not a failure, because it always brought me where exactly I needed to be to grow and to understand who I was and to continue blossoming. So if you consider there is no mistake, then you just start somewhere. And then you will take another project that you have on your list and you would do it later. And everything is okay. There is nobody's going to die because of it. You just choose something, make it happen. Because not choosing can make you stay frozen.
Oh yeah.
Not choosing is a form of procrastinating. It's just, oh, I don't know, I have so many ideas. I will just watch cats on YouTube because I have too many ideas. No, that's not a good idea, really. Just choose one and move forward.
Yeah, and one good mind game that you can play on that is, what is the risk of not choosing at all? Where would you be in 5 years if you don't choose anything? You would probably be in the same company that you don't like, or in the same jobs that you don't like. And how would you feel about that in 5 years? And where would you be in 10 years and 20 years?
Yeah.
Would you be happy still with your life or not? So this is also a good mind game to play in your mind, to walk through and see what are the possibilities and what is the risk of not choosing.
Yeah.
And as Ankle said, there's no wrong choice. Expect the choice of doing the thing that you don't like and doing the thing that makes you unhappy.
Yeah. Next one. What did you want?
You can choose.
Okay. Finding the right offer for the world. This is a good thing. So the person who wrote that probably thinks that she needs to adapt to the world and choose the right offer for the people. In a way, it's right, because you need to find what the world needs and then bring out your talents and create something for the world to be beneficiating from your light and from your wisdom and everything. But in another way, if we look too much outside, it can be confusing and it can be not aligned to who we really are. And then if we adapt too much to the outside world, we lose our essence and we lose our inner drive, and it can be tiring. So I would say, what do you want to create that the world needs?
Yeah.
And not what the world needs and then create it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I would say the same. Yeah. So look at not in the first place what the market needs. Look what you want to create and see how you can adjust it so that you can fit it to a need. Because there has to be a need, right? There has to be a pain that you want to solve in the world. So this question is still really relevant. But first of all, find out what is important to you, what you want to create in your life, and then design around that a service that is valuable for other people as well.
Yeah. Taking risks and losing money. It was like together. Taking risks and losing money. Do you want to start?
Taking risks and losing money. Yeah, I mean, this brings me back to the point that I already mentioned, to have a clear overview about how much money you actually need to really be rational in this terms. Of course, also your relationship to money plays a big role in here. But to keep it really practical and really simple, start with this. Really build up a system for yourself that you can use to keep track of your finances, and then see how much can you invest this month, how much can you invest the next month, and then slowly and slowly you can always iterate on what you're building, right? If you notice, oh, since 2 months I'm stuck, that's probably a sign that you have to change something.
Yeah.
Something is not working. Then you just twist a few screws here and there, and then maybe it's working.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Then you do the next thing.
Yeah.
You change something
you keep
again.
Trying.
You're redesigning what you're offering to the world.
Yeah. About taking risks, I took a lot of risks being an entrepreneur, and every time I put myself in the discomfort, then every time I could create a solution. So quite often, when we don't take the risk, we are looking at it from the outside and think this is going to be the end of the world, because it's going to be terrifying and there will be no solution. But when you put yourself into the discomfort, then you have to find solutions, and then the solutions appear. So they only appear when you are in the movement of creating something, of taking the risks, and then something else is possible. But if you're not moving, if you're really stuck, then nothing is possible. You're not creating the movement of possibility for creating solutions. This is really something that we need to understand, because, for example, we're going to move, and we had another live about that. We're going to move to another country. From the outside, we think, oh, it's complicated. It's complicated. There will be, we're going to be in a situation where we could have problems and stuff. But I'm sure, 100% sure, that when we will be in the movement of creating this change for our lives, solutions will appear. We will meet the right people. We will find the right places. We will create the great opportunities for ourselves. But from where we are, if we don't move, then we will never encounter these possibilities for our lives. So it's important to understand that taking risks come with solutions. And this is a really big one, because it's scary. It's super scary.
Yeah, and what can also give you more support, especially in these scary times, is to have a coach or to have allies in the same field, right? People that you know who really took the steps, and talk to them and see how they did it, to reduce the risk, but also to feel a bit more safe, knowing that there are also other people around you that support you and that they have your back.
Exactly. Yeah. I've had coaches, like different coaches in my life as an entrepreneur, and I've always had a lot of wisdom thanks to them, bringing me the right questions to ask to myself when I felt that I was like deep into my beliefs and my limitations, and they would always help me create space so that I could envision something else. This is so important, to not be alone on this journey. Yeah. Okay, what's next? Showing up as whatever role you take. Showing up was also a blockage.
Showing up, meaning showing up in the world.
Showing up in the world.
Showing up. Yeah, that's a big one. I completely agree. Take small steps. Like, there's a comfort zone, and then there's a zone which is out of your comfort. You can take small steps towards it, right? To make the small step and feel safe, then you take the next step to feel safe. Sometimes it's required to make a bigger jump, but you can always figure out what is the smallest step that I can take, and then take it. This is the most important thing, to take this step then, and not to stay where you are.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we had a conversation, I think it was last year, about being an entrepreneur, and you came up with the sentence that was something like, oh, but when I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I will have to give my best every day. Something like that. And it comes with that. Like, when you are on your own, and when you create something in the world, and when you're not an employee, when nobody tells you what to do, every morning when you get up, you give your best to life. So you have to show up for life. And it comes with responsibility. And I think this is also why a lot of people hesitate to become an entrepreneur. It's because they know deep down it's going to ask from them to be responsible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, yeah. And you will fail. I also fail constantly on that, because this is still something that I also have to figure out for myself. Because there are some days where I can do like the creative work, and then there are other days where it's maybe better to just do some paper and some administrative work, and then there are days which are really good for coaching, and then other days which are good for breathwork. And this is something that I'm trying to figure out for myself. So I started to have this rational idea in my mind of, okay, I will start in the morning with a morning routine. After that, I will start doing creative work, and then I will do paperwork and so on. But it's not working like this. So I had to change the system completely and create more flexibility. And that was also quite important for me, to create more flexibility, because as you probably already now saw in this conversation, that I'm quite a structured person. But I needed more flexibility. I needed to listen more to my intuition, to see what is the right thing for today. And this is a big learning for me, to not always be so much in your masculine side, but also in your feminine side from time to time when you create a business. Super important to have both parts in you and to live both parts in you.
Yeah, I like that. We're going to continue on that. I would just like to thank Laurent for his good wishes, because he's wishing us good wishes for Costa Rica and everything. It's been very kind. And say hi to Maya, which is there. Maya, I met you when I was an employee 10 years ago, and you're still there. Thank you for being there. Let's stay for a bit on the feminine and masculine energy, because this is requiring from us both sides. Like the feminine side, which is creative, which is going with the flow, which is welcoming opportunities and creating with life. And also the masculine side, which is more organized, which is structuring the possibility of a business with goals, with stepping stones, with being like this rigorous part of us that we need. And we need both, because if we're too much in the rigorous, we miss opportunities, because we're not even looking. We're too much like a machine. You cannot be an entrepreneur like a machine. It's going to be very limiting. Yeah. And if you're too much in your feminine part and you're always creative, but you don't have the drive to keep going and achieve the project until the end, something's missing. So we need to cultivate both parts within ourselves so that we can make it happen. And yeah, there's no magic in that. It's just bringing consciousness, and also coaching can help you with that. Having someone that helps you reflect on the way that you work, then it helps a lot. Because when you're alone, you have lots of blind spots, and you don't see that maybe you're stuck in one side and not the other side. So
yeah, right. And businesses seems so masculine in a way. I don't know, the first thing that I have to think about,
me too.
It's like quite a masculine energy in it, but it's actually not true. You actually have to bring so much feminine energy to have a successful business. Maybe not in all areas, but they will also lack on really important parts.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Where do you want to go next?
Do you have one?
Yeah, imposteur syndrome.
Oh yeah, imposter syndrome, yeah. Someone told me, no, actually not true. No one told me that. I was listening to a podcast where someone was mentioning that it's quite natural to feel like an imposter from time to time. But this will bring you the learnings.
Yeah.
Right? So to do the steps and then suddenly feel uncomfortable, and then see why you feel uncomfortable, maybe making changes or identifying that there's a certain core belief that's not serving you anymore. But yeah, being an imposter, you can learn a lot out of it.
Yeah, that's a big one. Because every time we try something new, we feel that somebody is going to see that I'm a newbie, that I'm a baby in doing this, and somebody is going to say, you don't know everything. And then you will be discovered.
Yeah, and remember, like, there are people in this business since 30 or maybe 40 or 50 years. And then I'm here doing this since 4 months.
How does it feel? You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
If you never start, you will always be a newbie. So you might as well start earlier than later.
Exactly, and get as many learnings as possible.
Yeah. And I think it's good to be getting comfortable at being new at something, although it's very uncomfortable. I'm new at playing music, and I hate being new at it. I'm new at speaking Spanish. We're both new at speaking Spanish. I don't like it so much. Hola, me llamo Entler. Mere. Yeah, it's not easy to start something new, because each time we're like falling and falling again, and this is uncomfortable being new. But nothing comes out of life if we don't get outside of the comfort zone. And
we need a bit of this pressure, this tension. It's like training our muscles. It's also not necessarily comfortable. It sometimes feels painful to have a strong workout, heavy workout, but it will actually create the results that you are looking for.
Yeah, that's why I don't work out. But you do. Thank you, Monk Sauvage. Just as we're beautiful.
Thank you.
The lack of legitimacy. Well, that's a really good one. Feeling legitimate, it goes also with the imposter syndrome. Feeling legitimate. I liked what you did last year. You did some research about what actually makes you feel that someone is legitimate in their field. Do you remember this conversation?
No.
Then I can remind you. So I remember we were discussing something. You inquired why some people on the internet that you were following, through listening to podcasts and following them on Instagram and everything, why you thought they were legitimate in their field.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were inquiring if it were their diplomas or their experience or everything else, to feel what was the trigger for you of legitimacy. Do you remember?
I think so. Yeah, just a tiny bit. I remember that I did this research.
I found it very practical. It was a very practical way to address legitimacy.
Yeah.
It's like, if you feel someone is legitimate, why that? Is it because they've been practicing for X years? Is it because they have a blog which is very knowledgeable for you, and then you can go to them as a reference point? Is it because, I don't know, you just have a good feeling about them? Why, in your eyes, make someone is legitimate in their field?
Yeah, right.
Can you have, can you put some bullet points and figure that out? Because then it can help you grow that presence. Then if you feel it's a blog, maybe you also start a blog. When you feel it's whatever it is, when it feels practice, because this person always have a lot of experience and giving here and there some wisdom through coming out of their sessions. Then you feel, this person is doing a lot of sessions. It's good for me to learn from them. Then maybe you start to do the same. You start practicing a maximum, and then you share the knowledge that you get out of the sessions. Then you will bring in the world the same, you make this flow of knowledge that you find for you is attractive. Because if it attracted you, it means there is something there that you can also develop for yourself.
Yes, I remember now. I think I remember a few cases which I looked up and I saw, they actually did study psychology. But they had such a great set of knowledge around psychology that I was trusting them completely, because they were showing up really authentic and sharing the knowledge that they have, which created for me trust. It doesn't have to be that it's important to you to have someone who's sharing a lot of knowledge, but for me it was quite important to see that in order to trust them and put in my mind a label onto them that they're legit.
Yeah. Feel free to ask questions, although we have the whole list of fears here there, but don't hesitate to do it too. maybe we go through those questions first, and then we can go back up. How to focus and not being too dispersed. How to stay focused.
How to stay focused. Do you want to just start?
Yeah.
And I jump in.
How to focus. It has to go with goals, I would say. You have to figure out what's your main goal, where you want to go. I like to do that every 3 months, more or less, because I don't really know what my business is going to be in 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. I have more visibility for 3 months, 3-4 months. And then the main goal is my priority. And then when I have time, I can create something on the side. But I have to be like this.
Yeah, right. I had today a conversation with one of my clients, and he mentioned that he's not really in action because there's so much he has to do, and he was losing his focus. He didn't have any focus anymore. And what's really useful here is to work on your vision again, even though you created your vision probably already a couple of times. Create your vision again and then re-engineer your vision, so makes a different steps. How do you get to what you envision your life to be in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now? And then you will start seeing again the path towards a vision, then you will find again the focus.
How do you find the vision?
How do you find the vision? Also probably many different practices. What I always like to do is to go into a really relaxed state, first of all. Because this helps us to then connect to our intuition. And then from there we can just start to let images arise, how we want to see ourselves in 5 years from now. And then just try to envision how a day in 5 years would unfold, an ideal day, how would it unfold? And from there you can already start seeing, okay, yeah, this is something that wants to be lived through me, because otherwise it would not come up. The question that I always ask here, is it your mind making the things up, making the images up, or is it something subconscious or unconscious maybe even that is coming up? Because if we are completely relaxed, we have this access towards it, and then we can just play around, call in a question, and then see what is arising for us. And oftentimes what is arising is not coming with a mental effort, with a force from our mind. It just comes up. An image comes up.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where we need to trust that there is wisdom in this vision, which is a guidance, inner guidance, for us to do something with our lives, something else, even if it does not make sense. That's the thing, is the trust before it makes sense. And it works. When you follow your visions, it works. There is always something to learn from there. It might be just a stepping stone and not the final destination. There is always something there for us to experience so that we can grow and move forward. And having this strong sense of vision and working quite often on our visions is like an anchor. It's like if you're very connected to your vision, then you can go through challenges. And then you will not stop at every challenge that life throws at you, because you think, oh, that's just a bump. And then you continue. That prevents you from stopping on your journey, because you know there is something behind the challenge. There is more resources that you need to find inside yourself so that you can carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a guidance.
And understanding the why behind it. Why do you do all the things that you're doing?
Yeah.
What is the vision, but also what are the values behind it? What is truly important to you? This is also a great point to better understand what are the values that you truly honor, what are your core values, not the values that you adapt from family, from culture, from systems, but the values that are really unique to you.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle values, your career values, the values that you believe in, all the things.
Maybe we can talk about the fear of the unknown now, because I know that's the thing. Like when you have a job, you know what's going to happen. You know if you are like in a city in French, you know what's up for you. except if right now the things are a bit different. If you don't want to get vaccinated and they force you to be vaccinated and blah blah blah, then you're not so much in the security, but you still have some kind of security in your mind. But when you are an entrepreneur, there is no, everything is possible. So there is a fear coming up about the unknown. Something is helping me very much. It's to envision different possibilities, and then after this possibility, and then after this possibility, what is there that is beautiful? What kind of thoughts can I nourish that, okay, I will do that, and then this is possible, and then this is possible, and then this, so that I fill in the blanks with beautiful pictures, with beautiful possibilities, instead of letting the fearful part of me making crazy scenarios about me ending up under a bridge and dying.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I never did it, but it completely makes sense that it's quite useful for someone who's a bit afraid to take the steps into the unknown. For me, for example, now the step into Costa Rica doesn't seem so fearful. It doesn't seem so filled with anxiety. Absolutely not. Somehow I have the trust that it will be fine. I don't know exactly from where the trust is coming from. I really don't know, but I have totally trust in that, even though it's the unknown.
Comes from your heart.
Yeah.
There is more practical questions that we can answer also afterwards, but I wanted to address the faith. Having faith that life is also bringing us into circumstances so that we grow and we get the best out of life. And life is not against us, it's a big one also for me to have processed, and it's getting better and better. Life is not against me. And even though I get through challenges, life wants the best for me. So I try to learn as quick as I can when I have lessons to learn, so that then I can make the most of life and not consider myself as a victim of circumstances. I really don't think life is playing games with us so that we are in trouble. Not at all.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. What I always try to see is, or how I try to see it is that if we are facing challenges, then like some deep layers inside of us, they will figure out a creative way to get through it. It's like there's this experiment done in Japan with a slime mold, like a mushroom that's a bit slimy, and they put different oats on a petri. What do you say? Petri dish? No, petri.
No.
Like some kind of plate where you can put some nutritions on, and then you put this slimy mold in the middle, and then it was spreading out. And what they did is they put the different oats in different places, which is resembling the Tokyo subway system. Then they put in the middle this slimy mold, and the slimy mold was creating better pathways to the different stations than the Tokyo subway system.
No way.
Yeah, and this is talking about this innate wisdom, intelligence that we have carry around. So this is how I see it. So if we are facing challenging situations, and we are not in a fight, flight or freeze mode, instead we are in harmony, in sync with ourselves, we can actually find the ways through it.
I love that. Yeah. We're so intelligent out of the brain too. So just give it a chance. Yeah. Okay. What's our status? So I will answer for French people. I have still an auto-entreprise in France, and I have the company that I have with Power School, because I created this company with Aurore Widmer. And I also have a company abroad. I also have a company in Thailand that I'm not using because can't travel. But I also have another company abroad for my online businesses. And yeah, I have several companies because I find it practical and more interesting in terms of finances. Just get some advices out there for what's best for you. And then there is always solutions. Everything is figure outable. I find that French regulations are very painful. So just if you don't want to have a French company, just don't do it. Just go somewhere else. There is a lot of possibilities out there. Just make choices.
Mm.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, in Germany, probably there are not so many German listeners. I have an Einzelnummer-Unternehmen, which is basically a single person having his own business. But I'm also starting to create a second company with 2 other people together, and we will create it in the UK.
Good. I want to check something, if there is still battery there. Yeah, okay. Oh, I zoomed. I don't know how I did that. Sorry. Okay, some last questions. How do we deal with budget? Planning ahead, saving and everything. How do you deal with your budget?
I mean, I would probably repeat myself now. So I make a list about how much money I actually need every month. I have an exact idea on how much I need, and I track every day how much money I have on my bank account. And I do it every day because there was for sure a time where I was a bit afraid to look on my bank account. And this is not good.
With it?
It's not good to not look at your bank account. So I had to start looking on my bank account more regularly to keep track of what's going out and what is coming in.
Okay.
And then based on this, I create my budget.
Yeah. I don't really have a budget. I mostly have expenses that I build to my company. I do that, I do lots of expenses to my company. I have the knowing of how much I need, like the basics. It's now deep inside of me, so I don't really need to count what goes out. I do track a lot what comes in. This is something I learned to do with the mastermind that I joined in January with Regan Helia. And she has this spreadsheet that she shares with us, and I track everything that comes in so that I can celebrate every win I have, which is it's been a big change for me, because I was ready to be a container for bringing in more money. It's like tracking what comes inside is it's a big one to welcoming the flow of having money and making the money circulate. So yeah, I mostly track that. And about the visibility, it's not easy when you're an entrepreneur to know how much you're going to make in the future. So you make wishes, kind of, to the universe, and you say, I'd like to make as much with one-on-one clients, as much with the program, as much with teaching and everything, and then life happens. So maybe you get less one-on-one clients, but you have more in the group. Maybe you do less teaching and you do more programs. It's just, you have to dance with what's happening. But as long as you work with your heart, and as you continue moving forward your dream, it happens. I mean, every time I had wishes last year, I wanted to make 100,000, I made it. And not as I planned it. It happened differently. And it happens differently, and this is the beauty of it. There is
And this is also something that gives me more safety, understanding, or having multiple money streams. For example, for coaching, from breathwork training, and possible from freelance jobs. And this is also quite important. Something that I didn't understand I could have, or I didn't have the idea that I could create this kind of system for me. But it's super helpful to have it, because if one source is not working, maybe the other one is working. And the other one is working, is covering all the fixed costs. Totally.
I have multiple streams of income, and I intend to continue having multiple. This is the best. Because if something stops, like my retreats, then I have to have something else. And it brings a lot of security. Yeah. Somebody asks if we take new clients for coaching.
Yes, I take new clients for coaching. If you're interested, you can just write me a message.
Yeah.
Or go to my website and check it out and write me a message.
Yeah.
But right now I'm taking new clients. Soon we will be in Costa Rica, but still, at least I take new clients.
Yeah, I don't, not yet. I'm teaching, and I will take new clients later, but I have a waiting list and I think it might be already with enough people in there. I don't know yet. Yeah, I'm grateful for that trust. Do you want to add something? Because I think the time is almost up. Or maybe you want to get one of more topics that were there?
Lack of maturity. I found this one so interesting, and I just had one comment around that. So someone wrote lack of maturity, and I'm wondering what the context around that is, because I think I see a lot of adult people who should be mature, but they are not really mature. And someone asked saying, I don't feel mature enough, already shows a bit of maturity, I would say.
Yeah,
probably an old person who thinks he's so wise, he would probably, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's more like a lack of faith inside of you and of life, like trusting life. But maturity comes with accepting the responsibility, which come with being an entrepreneur. Like every morning showing up and getting up and being committed to what you're creating. Yeah, that's it. I also wanted to talk quickly about the lack of support, the fear of being alone in this journey of being an entrepreneur. Because when your family does not understand what you want to create, and when your colleagues don't understand why you want to leave the job and get into the world and create something by yourself, you can feel very lonely. I found it very helpful to find new friends and to join groups and Facebook groups and to follow people who are also entrepreneurs and to get into the mindset of creating something on my own, because I could not get that support from my family or my former friends. It was impossible. They didn't have that mindset. And it's funny how humans are the only kind of animals that go for something where it's not. Like animals, when they want to find something to drink, they will find water and they will go where water is. Mm-hmm. But we keep on trying to find something where it's not. When you know you cannot get that kind of support to your family, stop going there for that. Go to them for something else. But don't go for them to that. And go find the support where it is. There are so many groups of entrepreneurs today, so many support, mastermind and coaches and inspirational events. Just give yourself the support you need. Like in that way, this is a very mature thing to do. It is to get out there and find your people, find the people that will help you.
Yes, right. And sometimes it can be challenging, but if you, for example, start a training to become a coach, a naturopath, or whatsoever, in the class you probably have people who also want to become an entrepreneur, then connect to them and try to create allies, maybe not even friends, maybe it's just allies, people who are in the same boat as you and that you can have sharings with. This is already so helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. And get a coach that will kick your ass. Really, having Cairo, it's really Cairo who kicked my ass the first time, saying, you can do better. Don't you think there is something inside of you that you can like get out there? Like having someone that challenges you is also a very good thing. It can be a good friend, can be a coach, can be anyone that kicks your ass and say, hey, come on, you get what it takes.
That's so true.
So important. Do you have something else you want to add?
No, I don't think
Good,
so.
we're close soon. Okay. I do have something I want to add. I think a lot of systems in the world are going to collapse. Financial system, educational system, and a lot of the work system as we see it. And being an entrepreneur brings a lot of safety because you are flexible and you learn how to renew yourself constantly. So, if you want to...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, this just reminds me on something someone was saying to me, that if you're an entrepreneur, you can never lose your job. No one can fire you from this job.